Okay, I'm actually gonna let the intro play in this because it is a pretty cool intro. Alrighty, so Street Fighter 4. Oh man, I remember the hype for this was real because it was such a long gap between Third Strike, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and this game, or vanilla Street Fighter 4. And as you can see, that by the time it got to Ultra, it got into a huge cast of characters. From Super Street Fighter to Third Strike to Alpha, everywhere in between. I do think this is one of the best rosters. I mean, you got Rufus, El Fuerte as the new one, C Viper, Jury, DiCaprio. That was a lackluster final character reveal. Poison becomes playable for the first time. So chronologically, this takes place after Street Fighter 2 and before Street Fighter 3. So that can be a little bit confusing because Street Fighter 5 takes place right after Street Fighter 4, then it's Street Fighter 3, then it's Street Fighter 6. So it's 2, 4, 6, 3, 5. Or no. 2, 4, 5, 3, 6. There you go. In here, just Ken waiting for Mel to be born. But yeah, I remember the hype being real for this game. And I remember the first time I got to play it was at Austin. My buddies Edgar, Josh, I think Geraldo was with us, and then my older brother and my younger brother were there. We drove, they, well, I don't want to say we, they let us ride with them. I think maybe my older brother was driving. I'm not sure, but I know we made the trek over to Austin. I'm over here in San Antonio, and yeah, we played. I first got the taste of it at an arcade over there, and then I've heard little inklings, and then again, I didn't have cash at the time. I wasn't working yet. I think I was still. I think this is like 2008. So pretty sure it was like senior in high school, and yeah, I wasn't working yet. So every now and then I would hear that they would be going to Austin to play the game, and I didn't have funds. I didn't want to be a bother, so I would have to pass. But yeah, I remember, you know, there's a lot of, there's fans of people who like Street Fighter 4. You know, this is their Street Fighter. They got them into fighting and the fighting game community, FGC, and that's when that whole thing blew up. And I remember people saying like Sagat, Abel were like best characters, Ryu, you know. And I remember again that whole bringing up about like, oh, if you use an arcade stick, that's where you're gonna excel at the game. You've got to get an arcade stick, frame data, you know, iframes and all this other mumbo jumbo. I tried to keep up with it for a little bit, but then that's what kind of made me fall off. That's what kind of made me not want to play Street Fighter. You know, I got every single version. I even have the 25th anniversary special edition. I think it was Super Street Fighter 4 when that came out, and you know, had the Kuma logo on the box, and it had the Ryu statue and Ryu's belt and a bunch of like soundtracks from all from everywhere, and then some absolute bangers from people who like love Street Fighter and producing music inspired by Street Fighter. You know, so I kept up with it as far as getting every version, but I never really sat down and wanted to hone in on the mechanics, because there was so much I want to say like just like judgment, just like, oh well, again, like you've got to study all this other stuff and you've got to get an arcade stick to be good. And, that's where you know, with that's where I was looking back on it. I can really see the hindrance in me playing just my brothers, because they weren't even playing this all that much when it did finally come out. We didn't like how floaty it was. You know, felt like when you jump up in the air, it felt really floaty. And then I'll get into the mechanics. What is different from Street Fighter 4 that has evolved, and like I said, that's different from Street Fighter 3 or even the Alpha series. So you've got two bars now, or two types of gauges. You've got your super gauge, which utilize the EX combos like that one right there, where you turn yellow from third strike. Those can make a comeback. And then you have an ultra gauge. Now, when it first came out, you only had one ultra, and then later on they introduced Ultra 2, and then it allowed you to make the selection finally between having both ultras. I think the caveat being that it wasn't as powerful as just choosing a single single ultra. The other thing was that there was this thing called focus attacks, which it kind of bothers me that everybody is kind of going crazy about the drive gauge, because that's what I see. That's where I see a lot of it. It's like, oh, okay, this is just kind of like focus attacks. Except with the drive gauge, you can't. With a focus attack, you can use that to nullify an attack. It'll absorb one attack, and you can utilize that and cancel out of focus to like parry, quote unquote, an attack. And if you charge up the focus attack all the way, it leaves them in a like kind of in a pseudo stun state where you can like pull off combos. So I see a lot of the drive gauge from that. The difference being is that you know, from what little I've played from Street Fighter 6, I don't think I'm not sure how much armor the drive gauge has, and then I'm pretty sure you can even throw. That's another thing, yeah. Like parries in Third Strike, when focus attacks, if you see somebody doing a focus attack, you can either answer with your own focus attack, you can throw them, or you can do two, ensure you do a combo, at least 2 hits. So you could do light, kick or punch, and then it'll get them out of that state. And then the super combo gauge gave you meter for EX moves, and then actually another super, like your super art. And then later on they introduced red focus, which apparently that's like if you use 3 gauges of your super combo meter, you can utilize the focus. It'll stop like an extended number of attacks, so you can pull it off. The other thing is that I feel like this is a more technical Street Fighter. You've got to be you've got to utilize the tools. Like every single thing in this game, if you want to be good, you've got to utilize every single tool. And then there were these crazy combos apparently that people would pull off, like Daigo doing 1 frame combos. I've never tried to pursue it that level. Just again, I've made peace with the fact that I'm a casual player. So you know, that's neither here or there. That being said, you know, this wasn't my. Obviously, this isn't my favorite Street Fighter, but I do remember entering my first tournament at GameStop. Apparently, everybody liked the 360 version of Super Street Fighter 4 for whatever reason, and that's what we were playing with. And yeah, I remember it was for, I think it was just for a case of Nerd Energy, and it came down to me with my Ken and missed that. Me with my Ken, and then my little brother with his Blanca, and I was able to pull it off. So that was cool, not gonna lie. I went with my brothers to that tournament, and then yeah, you know, the cast of characters. Having a large cast of characters, I always feel like that's a good thing. but again, I think I was just too young. And nobody, you know, like my older brother, couldn't give me pointers. Just, you know, everything that I've learned in this game, I learned on my own. As far as like what my bread and butter combos are and whatnot. And yeah, so I just I would pick up a character here and there, and they just didn't feel right. And then, like I mentioned, yeah, funny enough, this wasn't my older brother's favorite Street Fighter, or like he didn't like it very much either, because I mean, he had Fei Long, he had Dudley, he had DJ, he had Don, again. I said Don, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Sagat. That there was a number of people. But yeah, I remember the FGC was on the rise. Everybody was talking about arcade sticks versus controllers and getting very passionate about that. And then I do remember there were some good nights, you know, going to my buddy Edgar's house and playing against his brother, and we would just, you know, play like that. I will say, since then, you know, since, like I said, going back to our arcade collection, our anniversary collection, and I was getting, I was learning all this terminology. You know, the idea of sets, like first to 5 set is like the standard. I didn't know that. And that's, you know, I think there is some things that the games can implement better that like can fold in to the fighting game community what has it set. Oh, Rufus. Okay.
Let's get started. Fight!
Yeah. Rufus, I was never a big fan of Rufus either. Rufus and then Bob from Tekken. That was just weird. And I think, yeah, this is when Tekken 6 came out. Around this time too, or a year or two later. But yeah. So during this playthrough, I really did try to do the focus cancel. That's the big thing with this game is focus. And then I do remember with the way my controller's set up, that's another thing. And why I don't blame people that said like, oh, arcade stick is like the way to go, because there were so many, you know, options. There's so many options for you and mechanics that on a controller it gets crowded. I have a throw button, I had the focus button, I had all 3 punch buttons and all 3 kick buttons, and then my face buttons for my high punch and medium kicks, and that left out the, you know, the light punches and light kicks off. And I know those are good in this game for like for tapping and starting, you know, those big combos. That's another thing that I forgot to mention with in regards to like really long combos. That's when I was really I did put in some time, you know, I was trying to learn what I can about the game, and that's when I learned how it handled combos, and that if you do just a raw Ultra 1 combo, you know, your Ultra combo, technically you would get more damage versus comboing into the Ultra. So what I mean is that, you know, let's say doing a raw Ultra combo does like 20, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw a number there, like 25% damage. Whereas if you combo into it, that Ultra is gonna do only like 20 or 18%. So I thought, oh well, then, you know, maybe it's good that I do like straight Ultras. I still wasn't keen on like, hey, you need to learn how to combo and chain together moves, because yeah, sure, all these little things are not as strong as they would be on their own, but together it adds up. All those percentages adds up. So that's probably something I would have told myself going back. Like, find a bread and butter combo that really chains together and utilize it. Yeah, apparently in the you know, when you play arcade, if you, I forget, there's certain conditions that have to be met, like I think 5 perfects, and then you have to end a couple of your matches with Ultra combos and not use a continue, and then you'll be able to fight either Oni or you had the chance to fight, I think, Oni, Goken, Ryu, or Akuma, depending on if certain parameters are met. And that was cool, but I was getting frustrated. Yeah. That's the other thing. I kind of miss the air guard and the air recovery from Alpha 3. That's why playing all these different versions of Street Fighter, I was like, what is it about Alpha 3 that I like? And I'm like, that's got to be one of the things that you can you know, get hit in the air and then recover, or get hit in general and recover real quickly. Or you could just guard in the air. So
let's get started. Fight!
But Street Fighter 6 comes out later on tonight, or you know, tomorrow officially. I'm Central Time, so it's gonna come out at 11. And I'm really tempted to stay up and try it out. Which, yeah, I think I'm gonna do. Alright. During this time, it's just so odd that Capcom didn't learn from their mistakes. So during this time, by the time we got to Ultra Street Fighter 4, we would have had Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, then Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like 6 months later, And then Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which again plays like this. And I was kind of disappointed with that game because I thought, like, okay, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, like the Tekken characters are gonna play like Tekken characters, but they just felt like, you know, they were doing Tekken style moves, but you had to execute them like regular Street Fighter moves, and I was kind of like, oh, that's not what I wanted. But yeah, that's there was definitely a little bit of oversaturation, and then with on-disc DLC being locked away, yeah, just Capcom brought the fighting game genre back, and then nearly, see, there we go. That's why I saw that, and it reminded me of Street Fighter 6 when you both do the drive gauges. But yeah, it's odd that Capcom brought Street Fighter back after so many years, and then with Street Fighter 5, it nearly, you know, nearly ended that. Which I'll go into when I play Street Fighter 5, but yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Let's get started. Fight!
But I will say, more than ever, you know, that's where it's okay to have your Street Fighter. That's what I kind of wanted to do with these videos, not only share my history, but to kind of put in the forefront, like, hey, these are different systems. Like, these could be or are different fighting games. You know, just because one guy does a Hadouken, there's different ways, there's different systems and different defensive capabilities that you have at your disposal with each different series, which is cool. I like that. That's another thing with this game also, is that they had crazy sorry, I was getting a call. They had crazy costumes. Luckily, by the time this came out on PS4, because I do have it on the PS3, they, you know, those costumes were heavily discounted, but they had some crazy costumes. I like this one because of Ken's long hair, but yeah, they had definitely had some crazy costumes, and I do think it's funny that some of them were like tournament illegal. Alright guys, so I'll leave it at that. Is this it? But yeah, I'll leave it at that, and then we're going to continue on with Street Fighter V. And oh boy, yeah, I got a couple of things to say about that. So, but all right, guys.